Hi guys, it's Tanya again. This is my channel, Tea Talks 93. I wanted to review Sister Wives again, season 3, episodes 4 through 5. These were the 45-minute episodes, so it took a little bit longer to kind of get the details and to figure out what was going on. But season 3, episode 4 was called The 4 Lives of Cody Brown. So this indicates, like, you know, he has the 4 wives and the different lives he lives with each one of them. In the lead-in, Cody is talking about being stressed, having to go house to house, and at times he talks about, like, I have to have a duffel bag, and I moved from Christine's house to Janelle's house to Robin or Mary's house with a small set of things. And then he often would talk about, like, he would have certain clothes that he left at one wife's house, and then he'd have to go over to her house if he, like, for instance, he had an appointment that he needed to wear a suit, so he had to go from, I think it was Robin's house to Mary's house to find the suit that he wanted to wear to this meeting. So poor Cody, right? Poor Cody. Christina talks about in the lead-in that she was worried about her relationship with Cody and wanted to go back to how it was, and it seems like before the show started or before Robin came in, not sure yet, right? So and she mentioned that she no longer feels special in the relationship between her and Cody. Cody talks about wanting to be in the one home like they were in Lehigh. He says it's a lot easier. He talks about the 4 homes that they are currently in, and this season 3 in Las Vegas. Looks like Robin and Christine are kind of on the opposite ends of the same street, so they're fairly close by. And then Janelle's like a couple blocks away, and then he says like Mary's like a mile or so away from them. So it's really hard to get from place to place to place. And then like Leon, whenever Leon wanted to, you know, be around their other siblings, and it was really hard for Leon to go visit the other people, the other wives and the other kids. So and it was kind of interesting. He started talking about you know, justifying polygamy, really, and justifying partially like having the one house versus the 4 houses. And he says Abraham and Moses had multiple wives, but they never indicated if they lived in the same home together or if they had different homes that you know, Abraham or Moses would go to house to house to house to visit with his wives and children from each one. He was talking about like not being able to see the kids every day like he did in Lehigh, because in the one house in Lehigh he could go from, so Janelle's area was the top and bottom of the left side. Mary had the top, all like the middle and the right side, and then Christine had the bottom of the middle all the way to the right side. So he just could go through door to door to door, and then Robin was a couple blocks away, so then he would have to go to her house, but it wasn't as strenuous on him, I guess, as having the 4 houses set up the way it is at this time that this episode occurs. They also talk about at that time the family was only able to gather 1 to 2 times a week all together, like all the wives, all the kids, everybody in one place where they could like eat, or they could like go out and do something together, that kind of thing. And then it goes into them going to a restaurant all together, and it was a Mexican restaurant, and I cannot pronounce it, but it did have the logo there. But as I'm watching all these plates and all these kids and the wives and Cody and everybody, I'm like, dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. So it makes me wonder like what Janelle's thinking of, right? Like that would be very expensive. You figure like $10 a plate at least. And you know, that was a few years ago, but I bet it was $10 a plate at least back then for even the kids. So and there's 17, well, it'd be 16 kids that would be maybe eating, and then the 5 of them, so 21 times 10, yeah, that's quite a bit of cash. So well over $200. That would have gone a long way back at that time, right? Which is what, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. Mary talks about the teens gathering at her home to talk in Lehigh, like they go and visit with Leon and Mary in their place because it's quieter, and she made it sound like she and the teens, which would include like Maddie and McKelty, you would think Maddie, McKelty, Logan, Hunter, Leon, who else is in that group? But it sounded like they all would go over there to Mary's house and like watch TV and gossip and do all the things. And Mary is very upset that because she's so far away from the other ones, that it's not as easy to do once they got to Las Vegas. So she was pretty sad about that. But that makes you wonder, you know, like now we hear things about supposed possible abusive type situations that Mary got into with the teen kids. And it seems like at that time there wasn't, either they didn't talk about it or they had a good relationship at that time. So it makes you wonder what happened. So it had to have been in Las Vegas that things went bad. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that as we're going through the back episodes. Cody mentions having to make things fair for each wife so they don't feel like he loves one more than the other. And during this episode, you can kind of see like him and Christine are having some marital problems, and it feels like that's what he's referring to. Like Christine doesn't think it's fair, and he's trying very hard to make sure that she doesn't feel less loved than the other ones. But you know, in this time too, he's still, and even like a few episodes later, I don't know, this is a spoiler if you haven't watched it, but a few episodes later, when they're building their homes in the cul-de-sac, the builder talks about how Cody is still in like the honeymoon phase with Robin. So of course Christina is going to be very jealous and upset to see that they have this loving, new, beautiful appearing relationship, and then Christine, she's like, my relationship changed. It's not as good as it was before Robin came into the picture. Before Robin came into the picture, she said that their relationship was fun and easy and loving, and she had no doubts that Cody felt love for her at that time. And then everything changed. Janelle also mentions that she shouldn't compare, but you know, Janelle, as we have found over the seasons, Janelle doesn't really seem to want that gushy, romantic, lovey-dovey type relationship with Cody. She's more appreciative of the friendship, camaraderie, going out and doing like nature things, and talking about business and logical. She always talks about being logical about things. So she appreciated that part and that kind of relationship with Cody. But Christine did want the loving relationship, the lovey-dovey, gushy, romantic stuff. And then she saw that she's having less of it and Robin's having more of it. And this, I'm telling you, this is where their relationship started going back. Season 3. And we went all the way to what, season 15 before she started being like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. So for 12 seasons, bad has been happening. And Cody apparently like put his head in the sand and didn't address it, didn't try to really work with her. There's other things that come along that's going to irritate me when we talk about it between him, because was it Yet that he talked about her saving her? Yeah, it was like season 1, right, where he told her to save her grocery money so that she could get a vacation. Forget you, Cody. Forget you. Come on. Save your freaking grocery money. Did Robin save her freaking grocery money? I'm guessing not. Makes me mad. He did not nurture his relationship with Christine, period. Christine talks about him, of course, favoring, so Cody favoring Robin in the relationship. Christine and his relationship are suffering because all the focus is on Robin. And then this made me think, if you've seen any of my other videos, I had talked about like watching polygamy as one of the videos, and I mentioned Amanda Ray that I watched quite a bit. She's from another polygamous group, the order that is around Salt Lake City. And she gives a good perspective about this, and she talks about there always being a favorite. And she actually did a review and reaction. I know she's done them with some of her cousins, and then she did a couple with her brother. I think the first one is the one she was talking about, and she did this one alone. And she said in that first one, there's always a favorite wife. And I think in the first one, she wasn't sure who it was. The first episode of season 1, Amanda was not sure who was Cody's favorite, but she's like, there's always a favorite. And she said that sometimes it will change, like whoever is pleasing him, like, doing things that make them the favorite. Sometimes it will change, but she's like, out of this group, there will be a favorite. So, and it was absolutely right from the very beginning, from honeymoon time, from marriage to honeymoon, all the way across. Robin is the favorite, the favorite, the favorite, the favorite. You can tell all the way across. Cody talks about he couldn't believe that he and Christine were having such a hard time. And even he admits at this time that their relationship was easy, was fun, was loving. And he said, per his exact words, I have loved her all my life. So now in season 18, when he's saying, I never loved her, I wasn't attracted to her, I didn't want her, he's a liar. He is a liar. Whether it started out as being a lovey-dovey, that kind of relationship, it developed into that. They had 6 kids together, and he developed a relationship with Christine that was romantic and happy, and they just had fun, and you can see it from time to time, the two of them. And Christine tries to continue that type of keep it happy and light, that kind of thing. But as time goes on, you can tell like they don't really get that back. So I find that very sad. But season 3, episode 4, Cody does say, I loved her all my life, which was like 20 something years at this point, 20 years. Yeah, and it was interesting that, they didn't keep the information that she and Cody were struggling to, just the two of them. Like Janelle knew, Mary knew, Robin knew. And then if you remember, I believe season 17, was it 17 when Christine actually left? I believe so, right? So Robin, when they were sitting down and Christine was talking about leaving Cody, Robin said, there were no issues in Las Vegas. I don't believe you. You're lying to me, basically. And Christine was like, no, there were problems. You just didn't realize it because you and Cody were off doing your own thing, weren't paying attention, basically. But right here, Cody and Christine in season 3 in Las Vegas admit that they were having problems. So, well, that was a lie. Continue season 3, episode 4. So Robin and Cody talk about going to get an ultrasound to see if it's a boy or a girl. So it's leading up to that. And then you see, like at Robin's house, they focus on Robin's house. Peyton and Isabel are on the trampoline with Aurora and Brianna, just having a blast, having fun. So you can see how those kids, those are Christine's kids and Robin's kids, seem very close at that time. They enjoyed spending time together. And they were down the street from each other, so they could go and talk and play and that kind of thing with their half siblings. So at that time, those kids had a good relationship. And then also something interesting that I noticed was like later you can see like Robin had put like a message on her refrigerator. Please do not get in here unless you talk to, I think it's Mindy, the nanny, whoever, her niece, or Robin before you get anything out of the refrigerator. Well, at this time, episode 4, season 3, Robin's like, oh yeah, the teens come in and they go through my cupboards, they go through my refrigerator, they eat my leftovers, whatever they want. And so it's like Robin is trying to get along, like she's putting energy and effort into getting along with the teenagers and to try to make them like her and be accommodating and that kind of thing. And then I'm like, what happened between here and later that she's like, nope, stay out of my refrigerator. I don't want you over here. You need to ask permission. And then I would see how the older kids would be like, or in the younger kids, if this is them too, they'd be like not feeling safe or welcomed into her home if they're saying, no, you can't do, you can't have. So when does that happen? Maybe we'll see it later in the episodes. And then I also noticed Cody is helping Robin do dishes. He couldn't put Christine's kids to bed to help her, but he's over there doing household chores with Robin. And then she talks about like Robin is talking about like creating a honeymoon experience for Cody whenever he comes over to her home. And then they're talking about this, I believe, on the couch. And Janelle's like, oh my God, that's not necessary. You know, you have to have a realistic relationship. The good, the bad, the ugly. He should be able to like help you. Like Christine's like, can you help me with this sometimes? And Cody's like, why is it whenever I go to Christine's house, I have to put up shelves or I have to help her put up her TV. He was putting a TV up this time. Do chores, but when I'm at Robin's house, I'm always welcomed and I get my feet rubbed. Now, I don't know if he gets his feet rubbed or not, but she makes him feel like he's on vacation, basically. And so, of course, if you're less work, less energy expended at Robin's house, of course she's going to be the favorite because she's doing all the work and you're not having to lift a finger. That's not a real marriage. Real marriage is like helping each other, being partners, doing everything together. The wives also talk about enjoying their own houses, but they do miss, you know, being there with the kids all the time and having Cody around every day. And then now they're having to like split, like once every 4 days they see him. He spends the night and helps with the kids and that kind of thing. And now they're basically like, it's kind of like we're single parents or single mothers, and then he just comes in once every 4 days. So I could see where like you get your routine going, and then Cody comes in and like disrupts everything and gets everything off kilter. The kids, you know, the kids are upset. So we find out later, Gwen says that she has autism, and I have an autistic child, and if the pattern is changed, if the routine is changed, it's very upsetting, very hard to get under, you know, their emotions and their actions and things, keep control of them. My daughter, if I do the wrong thing at the wrong time, then she gets very agitated and she starts like, you know, getting frustrated, and she starts making sounds that she's not happy about it. So I could see like if Gwen, I don't know if any of the other kids are autistic or not. We don't know because they haven't said, but if they need that routine. And then, you know, we do know that Dayton is autistic. That's Robin's son, oldest one. So he has to have a routine, I would guess. And I could see like maybe Robin has problems, and maybe that's why she needed extra help later, is because when Cody is gone, he needs to have a set routine and somebody there to help with his behaviors. I never really saw Dayton having like violent tendencies or real bad agitated tendencies that I have seen some other autistic individuals exhibit, but it's possible, and maybe that's why she needed the nanny. So it made me wonder these things watching this. Yeah, the wives and Cody get together and they talk about like, you know, we don't have jobs, we need to figure out a business to do together or some type of work to start bringing in income. So they start another conversation about that. I didn't see that they really came up with anything, no solutions, but they're talking about it. Cody and Mary start talking. Cody says he woke up at Robin's house one time in the middle of the night around 3:30 and told Robin, I love you, Mary. So Cody at this time, so she's sitting on the bottom of her steps waiting for Leon to get ready to go somewhere, and Mary and Cody are sitting down there talking while they're waiting, and Cody's affectionate, loving, smiling. They look like they have a really good relationship and trust each other right then. So I don't know when. We're gonna gotta keep an eye on like when that changed. We'll have to watch that. Anyway, Cody says that Mary is his soulmate. He keeps saying like, we fell in love, we started this whole thing, and she is my soulmate. He says that. He didn't have to say that. He could have said, I love Mary and we started this. He didn't have to say, I loved her so much and she is my soulmate. No wonder Mary had mixed signals the whole freaking time. Cody and Janelle start looking at, so they go off together on their day, I guess, and Janelle's like, I gotta get out of the house. Sitting in the house is driving me bonkers. So she and Cody take a drive and they go look at the properties that they could build on. And then the one that they look at, she talks about, oh, I love this because you can see the skyline. And I'm not sure if that's the one they built the cul-de-sac on. It may be, but you know, it was a very short little clip of that. Mary says, oh, she's frustrated with Christine because Christine is talking about having such difficult time with Cody right now. And I had already mentioned like Robin and Cody have this really good, loving, easy relationship. And like when Robin and Cody got married, then Christine and Cody's relationship changed to where Cody was like, it wasn't easy. It's not fun and loving and things that we had before Robin came into the picture. So right here, I think he did sabotage his own relationship with Christine when he brought Robin into the picture. So it did, I think it did destroy their marriage. That's my own opinion. And as we see through the years, it just gets worse and worse. So, but Mary's saying, you know, Christine, you need to give your all into this marriage. You need to like put the work into it. And my question was, why Christine? Christine's sitting there saying, I am willing to put the work in. I want to do the work. Why are we telling Cody this? Cody's flittering around. I'm in love with Robin. We're having a baby. Christine's on the back burner. She'll be fine. We'll get over it, is what it seems like. But she's saying, I'm not getting over it. I need you to work on this relationship with me. And he's, you know, if he's happy over here, why would he want to come over here where it's hard? It's easy over here with Robin. Why do I want to go over here where it's hard with Christine? So that's the problem. If he's going to have 4 different relationships with these women, he has to compartmentalize each relationship. Here's my relationship with Robin. When I leave Robin's house, I'm leaving this relationship at the door, unless there's an emergency, of course. I'm leaving this relationship at the door. I'm walking out. I'm going to Christine's house. This is our relationship that I'm picking up. I don't remember and I'm not thinking about Robin. I am focusing on Christine. And when you see him over at Christine's house, and she said this later, she said, when he is at my house, he is on the phone. And when we see even this episode, season 3, episode 4, Cody is on the phone. Every time it flashes over to him, he is on his damn phone. So he was not willing to put in the work back then. He wants it to stay good and stay easy for him. He did not want to put in the work. 100% believe that. Isabel, so she's sitting on Cody's lap at one point, and Isabel talks about, I miss Mary and I want to be over there. She's so nice and I get to go play with her dolls in her dollhouse. So Isabel seemed to have a decent relationship with Mary at that time too. So I don't know when that changed. Robin, they get back to the end, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go find if it's a boy or girl. So they get the ultrasound, and they find out, but they wait, of course, to the next episode, I believe, to, nope, they do it on this one. Robin announces that, yeah, it's a boy, and they showed it on the video, and they're like, oh, here's his head, here's his arms, here's his spine, and then what's this? This is a boy, yay, everybody's so excited. And Janelle was kind of like, okay, that's great. But, you know, she was like, that's fine, that's great. She didn't get real excited, it didn't look like. Some of the kids got really excited, and some were like, okay, that's cool. But Christine, especially Christine was like over the moon excited for them. She was jumping up and down, clapping. She was so excited to have this other baby. And Mary was happy for her, but you can tell Christine is trying. And I kind of think she's trying to overcompensate as well, because she's trying to give such a big reaction. And maybe in my mind, and this is not for sure because this is just speculation, I don't know Christine's mind, but maybe she's in the back of her mind like, this is really hard for me to look at Christine, or at Robin and Cody's relationship, and they're having this baby, and he is so excited to have this baby with her. He is so in love with her, you can tell. And then here I am, and I just had Truly, and he seemed excited, and he was excited in the birthing room with Truly. But then after that, it was like, wah, wah. He didn't make a point to get over there and visit with Truly that we saw. There were some times, even in this episode, where Truly did reach for him and show affection. So maybe it's enough that, you know, that they had that relationship at the time. Maybe it was a good enough relationship, but it certainly, we do see it suffering later, and it's super sad. Season 3, episode 5 was called Defending Polygamy. Defending it, okay. The more I see it, the more I don't think it works, in my opinion. Anyway, Cody and Robin, they, in the beginning of this one, they go to Lama's class, and she's like, well, I know how to do it by myself because my previous husband wasn't really involved. And Cody's like, I helped with these other 3 women, helped deliver most of them, didn't help with Truly other than he was present. So, yeah, he was present, so they did have that bonding experience. But the rest of them, they had like midwives that would come into the homes to deliver. So he would like do whatever the midwife told him to say or to do. Cody talks about going to visit his best friend Ken. So Ken and Cody, they grew up together in is it Lovell? Yes, Lovell, Wyoming. And they were going to the mainstream LDS, the Mormon church, all that time. And then when Cody is old enough for his mission, he and Ken go to Mormon mission. I don't remember where they went, but I think it was outside of the United States. Anyway, they went to the Mormon mission together. And then I guess while they're away at the mission, Cody is learning, and Ken is hearing from, I guess, Ken's mom and Cody's mom, Janelle, were really good friends. So Ken was hearing from his mom that Janelle and Wynn, Cody's dad, were moving away from the mainstream LDS, and Janelle was looking into this polygamist belief system, and they were getting ready to develop relationships so that they could get more wives. And then so Ken talks about how like he's suspecting that Cody may switch faiths or switch churches and go to the fundamental church. So he said he was suspicious that by the time they got back that he would join that church because his mom and dad did. So Cody mentions that when this happened, when Cody decided that he did want to follow the AUB and join a polygamous relationship, that Ken and then Kim mentioned that his mom they severed relationships, friendships with Cody and Janelle because they didn't want other people looking at them and thinking, oh, well, if they are, then you are, kind of situation. So he just unfriended him, basically. So that's pretty crappy, I think. And I'll get to it later, but mainly when I was thinking of this, like, I have what do you call it, Protestant, Trinity-based Christianity in my background. So my beliefs is like, you don't back off from the friendship. You keep talking to them and try to, why are you doing this? Is this really something that you think is the right thing to do? But I wouldn't sever a relationship with somebody. I have relationships with different people in different religions, and they're my friends, and I don't think any less of them because they're not Christians. So I don't know. I think it's pretty crappy, though. The Mormons are like, nope, disassociate. Don't let them into your places. But historically, Mormons for a time were polygamists, and I'll get to that later. I did look that up. Anyway, so Cody mentions that a few years prior to this episode, I don't know what year this is, but this episode, Ken and Cody started building it's kind of a superficial friendship. They started working together again, so they had to get along. And when you're watching Ken talk about things, you can tell how kind of angry he appears that Cody changed like this. And it was almost like he felt that he was betrayed and that Cody lied to him, is the feeling I got. They didn't come out right and say that, but that's the feeling I got. Anyway, Cody and the 4 wives and all the kids are going to visit Ken, and Ken is going to take them boating. So he set up 3 boats because there's a lot of people going. So it looked like Ken and his siblings were there as well. So Ken says Cody always liked the limelight, and he wasn't surprised that Cody went public. So Cody kind of portrays this as, I am trying to justify and promote that polygamy is okay, that it is an acceptable religion and, quote, lifestyle to have. So he's trying to make it to where the polygamists are okay to all go public and not be afraid of getting arrested and those kinds of things. That's how he portrays it when he brings it to us in season 1, right? But Ken says, nope, I think he wants to be in the limelight, and this is how he did it, basically. So that makes you think, like, I have this lifestyle, it's controversial, of course somebody's going to pick it up, and I am going to be famous. And he did. He became famous. So it worked. For better or for worse, it worked. The kids, you can see them, they're at a lake, and the kids are inner tubing. It looks so fun, and then they're cliff jumping and just having a blast all together. And Ken talks about how the outside, like different, not just Christians, but different, non-believers or whatever, looking at the Mormons, the mainstream Mormons, and the FLDS groups like the AUB, the Warren Jeffs group, and I can't think of the other one, the ones in Mexico, but they're different fundamentalist groups, and they think they're all the same. So he's like, I don't want them thinking I have 4 or 5 wives, and that's not how we practice, that's not what we believe. So he gets very angry about that. Cody and all of them go back to the ranch where Janelle and Cheryl, so Janelle is Cody's mom again, and then Cheryl is Janelle's mom. So Cody has a mom, Janelle, and then his wife's Janelle, and then Janelle, his wife's mom's Cheryl. But they go back to the ranch, and Cody and the family is asking like how their hometown, the people that live there, have been reacting. So this is like almost 20 years later that they've been practicing, and they're like, how have they been towards you? Have they been nice and polite? And the ladies, Janelle and Cheryl, say, no, we get a lot of negative reactions, saying some bad things about what we're practicing. And they're like, we're not trying to spread it to other people. We're just wanting to live our lives how we see fit, kind of deal. And so they just want to be respected and be left alone, basically, to do what they would like to do, which is fine. They were late adults when they went into it, so it's completely their decision. And it may be something that I don't agree with or would ever do, but they decided to do it. So that is their wishes, and they should be left alone to practice whatever they want, as long as they're consenting adults. And they have studied why they're doing it, and this is what they believe. Some of the hometown people, we see like clips, like there's a parade that they're doing, and one of the ladies, they kind of sneer at them, and they're like, they seem to be good people, but they got the wrong ideas. What's the right ideas, right? So maybe your ideas, lady, are different from my ideas, and maybe I think you're wrong. Maybe my ideas are wrong to you. Yeah, it's just, as long as you don't hurt me, and you have studied and looked into what you're doing, and this is what you believe, and you're an adult, and you can make your own decisions, then do what you want to do, as long as it's not hurting anybody else or infringing on anybody else's rights. Cody talks about Mary's family guiding him into the faith. So right about the time that his mom and dad joined the faith, is when he met Mary, and Mary was already in the faith with her dad had multiple wives, and so they kind of nurtured him into the AUB. So at this point, I started thinking, why do they believe that polygamy is the way to go? And I was taught in my Christian background that, and even I believe at the end of my Bible that I had when I was a kid, it said that you should not add to the Word of God after Revelations in the Bible. So in my religion and my background, the Book of Mormon is not a thing. The Book of Mormon is full of lies and deceit and false prophets and those kinds of things. So what we would study was the Bible, and that's it. So, but the Mormons and FLDS, they have the Book of Mormon, and then they also have the LDS Doctrine and Covenants, and I think there's a couple other books. And if you have time and look at Amanda Ray's information, and then also there's another one that's Cults to Consciousness that talk about the different books and literature that they look through or that they study in the mainstream Mormon and the FLDS groups. They may explain it better than me, because I've not ever looked at it and had no wish to do so until last night when I was watching this or rewatching it. So in the Book of Mormon, in Jacob chapter 2, it talks about men should only have one wife unless the Lord commands them to, quote, raise up seed unto him. So this is part of why they think that some of the prophets around the time that Joseph Smith was a prophet brought polygamy into the Mormon beliefs, is because of this one, and there's another one, but I'll tell you about this one. And then specifically in Jacob 2:30, so it's like chapter 2 verse 30, I guess it would be. It says generally plural marriage is discouraged, but if the Lord is telling you that you should live polygamy, then who are you to argue, right? So this is why they brought it in too. And then I was looking at some history, and it talked about the LDS originally started as monogamous. So before Joseph Smith, when it was originally developed as Mormons, as LDS, before Joseph Smith came. So it also talks about polygamy started in the LDS in the 1830s, but Joseph Smith came along in 1843 and was taught that God came to him and told him that a man could help multiple women and children get to heaven by being, quote, sealed to them. And that's why Joseph Smith, I feel falsely validated, but he felt like he was validating polygamy at that time. But yeah, apparently some leaders and members were practicing polygamy before Joseph came along. Not a lot of, I didn't see a lot about who that was and why that was, but so far this is what I found. And feel free to look look into the background and send me some literature about why this could be, because it's fascinating and I'm more than happy to learn about it. And then in 1890, the LDS president Wilford Woodruff said the church would no longer agree with polygamy. So they went back to monogamy and they kind of condemned polygamy in 1890. And then in the LDS Doctrine and Covenants, so I guess it's chapter 132, verses 1 through 2, and verses 34 through 66, basically says people should not speculate about plural marriage to get into the celestial kingdom. So again, like if you review some of Amanda Grant's, I know she talks about it, and I know Cults to Consciousness talks about it on their YouTube channels, about the 3 levels of heaven. So the terrestrial, and the celestial. So everybody wants to go to the top tier, which is the celestial kingdom. And the FLDS groups, AUB, Warren Jeff's group, all of them believe that you have to have multiple wives in order to get to the celestial kingdom. And then there's some speculation. I've heard both sides, like some say no and some say yes, that once the mainstream Mormons get into the celestial kingdom, that they will have polygamy, they will practice polygamy there, so they'll have spiritual wives there. So it would be interesting if somebody higher up could clarify that in the mainstream Mormon church. That'd be awesome, because inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, so that's my little bit of research that I did. So back to Cody visiting old friends, Ken and the group. They go to visit with friends from Cody's high school. Cody talks about his friends avoiding him because they didn't understand why he would want to be a polygamist. There was a lady there, her name was Janae, and Cody talked about having a crush on her and he would play tricks on her. I think she said that he colored her headlights on her car black, so she was having a hard time seeing, which he thought was hilarious and she thought was most annoying, which I agree with her. That would be very annoying, but he said he did it because he had a crush on her, and she apparently never knew. Every single one of them were surprised that he became polygamous. And then Janae tells Cody that she knew he would always want to be the center of attention, and because he was the center of attention all the way through school, he always wanted to be the one in the limelight. Then Ken and some of the other friends that he had there, I don't know who the other guy was that was sitting next to Ken, but Ken talked about worrying about Cody's soul going to hell. And another friend that's across is a lady that I don't think they said her name either. She was like, why are you worried about it? It's his choice. He studied and decided whether or not he wanted to practice this way. But Ken, he's just very so Mormon faith based that he's like, basically, once you know and you go away from what's right then you are more condemned than if you never knew. And again, I bring this up a lot. Amanda Ray talks about this. She talks about like when she left her the order or the DCC from the Kingston clan in Salt Lake City, when she decided to leave because she didn't want to marry her cousin and have children with her first cousin, then they shunned her, and then they said, you're going to hell because you knew better, basically. Like, you had the keys to heaven, and you threw them in our faces. So I think this is kind of similar to where Ken is coming from. Like, you knew what you were supposed to do, and then you turned away from God's teachings, is what he thinks. But as we know, there are hundreds, thousands, I don't know, different Christian beliefs, different Christian churches, religions, different other religions, Muslims, all kinds of different religions from different areas. So what is the right thing? You know, it just makes you speculate in the back of your mind. What is the right thing? And then Ken talks about like when he was worried about Cody talking to their other friends about converting from the mainstream LDS to the fundamentalist Mormon church, because he said he felt like that would be more dangerous than what a Catholic would do if a Catholic person came in and tried to convert them from Mormon to Catholicism, which makes no sense to me, because other than the polygamy part, they don't have different beliefs, right? Am I wrong? Please tell me if I'm wrong. What other things does the fundamental Mormons have that is different than the polygamy aspect? That's what I want to know. Because if you look back, like I said, in Jacob 2, it talks about you're monogamous unless God tells you otherwise. And are you kin? Are you Mormon leaders, whatever? You guys are not God. So maybe they were told, maybe they weren't told. Maybe it's all made up. I don't know. But who's to say? I don't think Ken's to say. And not that I'm trying to take up for Cody and the ones that believe in fundamentalist Mormon, because I don't believe in it. But who's wrong? Who's right? And does it really matter? That's my question. So Cody talks about like he really wants to keep his friendship with Ken despite their differences, and he just wants to like agree to disagree kind of situation. And then they all go to watch fireworks over the lake, and one of the women said in high school, Cody was so interested in his hair and he was so flamboyant that she thought he was gay. And I'm like, well, it doesn't seem so now. He didn't really seem to be interested in same-sex kind of situations. So that could be the case, or because of his background, his religious beliefs in the AUB, it's not something that they believe in. They don't believe it's right. So maybe he didn't want people to know that about him, and he's not following it because he's so immersed in that religion. But it doesn't seem to be the case. And then at the end, when they close it out, they talk about the naming of the baby, and everybody's given names. And what was the funniest one? Oh, Cleveland. So Robin's son, Dayton, says, please name him Cleveland, so he can be Cleveland Brown, like the football team. So they thought that was funny. But they ended up agreeing to name him Solomon. And as we know, his name is Solomon, and he is a sweet, seemingly sweet kid, and he turned out to be happy and healthy. And that's where we end today. Thank you so much, and I will see you again for the next couple of chapters. Have a good one.